to be joined here with, yeah, sorry. I'm delighted to be joined here today by our Executive Director at Women at, Harmy Mendoza. I'm just going to pass it over first to Pramila, because you've seen enough of me today, to do the land acknowledgement. Thanks.
Thank you, Jane. So we just wanted to acknowledge the lands that Women Act is standing on. Where our office is based in Toronto, and the land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, Anishinaabeg, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit River. And we do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous people and their cultures. And we take this moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how we are and can each, in our own way, try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. And we carry this reflection into the themes of this talk as well. I'd like to pass it now on to Harmy Mendoza. Harmy, thank you for joining us here this evening.
My pleasure. Thank you all. And good afternoon. As mentioned earlier, my name is Harmy Mendoza. I am the Executive Director of Women Act. Thank you all for joining us from across Canada for this very important event. The timing of this event could not be more critical, not only because it's during the global 16 days of activism against gender-based violence campaign, but more importantly, because the federal and provincial governments are working together to implement the National Action Plan to end gender-based violence. We as anti-violence agencies need to take our collective frontline knowledge and connections with survivors to inform and transform policies, programs, and systems. As we have heard today, gender-based violence has a multi-dimensional impact on the lives of women and gender-diverse people. The gender-based violence sector has built extensive knowledge and practices to keep survivors safe. However, we need to keep drawing attention to the broader impacts of different forms of intimate partner violence. For example, the economic impacts of abuse are far-reaching, limiting employment opportunities and career progression, as well as access to necessities and safety. In older survivors, we see the accumulative impact of lifelong abuse. Survivors are not a homogeneous group, but have many intersecting identities which impact their needs and barriers to access safety and support. We are grateful to the organizations participating today that share innovative practices and expertise in supporting Black, Indigenous, racialized survivors, gender diverse survivors, older survivors, and survivors who identify as having a disability. We know through research that survivors who hold intersecting identities experience marginalization that further put them at risk. Indigenous women and girls are 12 times more likely to be missing and murdered in Canada. When Black survivors phone police for intimate partner violence, 86% are charged as the main aggressor, even when they are the victim, which further impacts their access to safety, services, and employment. 49% of LGBTQ plus women report they have been physically or sexually assaulted by an intimate partner. This figure is double what heterosexual women report. Women with activity limitations are 50 to 100 more likely to experience violence or intimate partner violence. 67% of older women who were homicide victims were killed by an intimate partner or family member. We also heard that to address gender-based violence, we have to tackle attitudes and systems, as well as focus on prevention. We need to create a space where men are part of the conversations in prevention, as well as responses. We need effective media and workplace strategies to tackle attitudes present in our cultures and to increase awareness and bystander responses from the community as well as employers. But how about the actions? We also wanted to do this conference to showcase different ways intersectionality can be integrated into programs that tackle GBV. I will share a couple of my own key takeaways on actions to end gender-based violence, but I also invite you to use the chat to share your own learnings from today. Each of today's speakers has highlighted the importance of intersectoral collaboration, especially with sectors that may not be top of mind when it comes to addressing GBV. This can be media partners, men's organizations, humane societies, financial institutions, community mobilizers, and activists. Today's speakers have spoken to how intersectoral cooperation and collaboration is so powerful because it expands awareness about gender-based violence across society. And intersectoral cooperation also means that we got to go where survivors are. They are a part of different communities like LGBTQIA+, Black, Inuit, First Nation, and Métis communities. They have pets or service animals. They go to school and have jobs. They use banks, grocery stores or food banks, hospitals, and libraries. Survivors are everywhere, and abuse can impact them in ways we might not be fully aware of. Intersectoral collaboration can help build bridges between supports so survivors' experiences, needs, and desires are better understood and met. We also heard about the importance and effectiveness of tackling gender-based violence at multiple levels, from grassroots and frontline service delivery to policies and system change. There are so many different practices that can be effective in making these multi-tiered and multi-dimensional changes. But the key piece come back to making sure survivors' voices shape programs, policies, and systems. This starts at the leadership level and making the commitment to center survivors' voices. How about next steps? Well, I wanted to end by taking all the goodwill and motivation and learnings coming out of today and turning them into action. Let's keep building your organizations or sector's capacity to meet survivors' needs and advocate for an intersectional approach to tackling gender-based violence. Let's also keep building each other up and supporting each other. Connect with one organization from today's conference for an information session, training opportunity, or possible area of collaboration. You can go to speakers' profiles on the conference website to find out how to connect with a specific speaker. Thank you again for sharing this special event today. And a special thank you all our speakers and survivors who share insights with us today. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I put the speakers from the website in the chat, but just a reminder, you guys can also still use the networking function on FeedLoop to send each individual private message if you would like. Thank you.
Bye.